Hi, everyone. I was almost started going off muted again. I think I did that last time too. But welcome to our Master Gardeners program this evening. It's about homesteading in a modern world. And we're going to have a special guest who's Garland County Master Gardener Jamie Wilkerson, who's going to talk about the principles of homesteading and share all of her techniques. But first of all, as always, we have the Know What to Grow It chairperson, Judy Dare, here with us.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I got just a few little things, Paul, so
sounds good. I'll let you share your opening remarks first, but if anyone watching has questions or comments, you know what to do, and we'll cover those at the end of the broadcast. So
that's exactly right. All right. So hello and welcome to Know What to Grow It. We really appreciate you being with us. Tonight's topic is really exciting. I think Jamie is trying to live a very interesting self-sustained life, and I think we all are kind of looking for a little bit of that ourselves. So Homesteading in a Modern World will be up in just a moment. I'm really excited about hearing about it. So things are quieting down for us Master Gardeners. Most of our dirt projects end in November, and they'll start again in January. We're excited to have a very large class registered for the next Master Gardener training that starts in 2022, and we're looking forward to having some new members in our fold. Now, Know What to Grow It will remain virtual through January. We'll see what happens after that, but please join us until January, and we'll probably be doing something great and hybrid, meaning that you can actually watch us online, and it will be live and it will be recorded, and that's all up to Paul, so I know he can do it. The next Know What to Grow It will be on December 15th at 6 o'clock. It's going to be with Jerry Butler, our Audubon Society friend. And we'll talk about the Christmas bird count, and he will tell us how we can all participate. We'll have forms at the library for you to do it, and you can also download the forms from a link that Paul will share. But he's also going to be introducing some new information for us about bird and birding. And so it'll be not just the Christmas bird count, but more things bird. And Jerry is such a wealth of knowledge. It's just wonderful to hear him speak about nature. Now, as always, we're going to have door prizes for the first 3 people with a question or a comment. But we got something special tonight, so get ready. Jamie is giving away a copy of The Backyard Homestead. So the way to win this is type Homestead into the chat box, and Paul will announce the winner. So get ready and go ahead and do that. The door prizes can be picked up at the library after 10 o'clock in the morning. Now on to this show. Jamie, her husband Wes, and their 6 children moved to Hot Springs 4 years ago to find their forever home. They found the perfect spot and started Honey Hole Farm. They wanted to get back to the basics of life and wanted their children to know what it was like to garden, preserve their own food, and live a simpler life. They began their homesteading adventure 3 years ago. They live in a tiny house and are in the process of building their forever home. Jamie became a Master Gardener in 2021, and she was the first graduate of the first Garland County online class. In addition to gardening, she enjoys cooking, preserving her crops, and spending time with her children on the farm. She also works a full-time job. She is a woman with boundless energy and a passion for what she does, and I'm so happy to introduce you to Jamie Wilkerson.
Good afternoon, everybody. I look forward to discussing homesteading with everybody because everybody goes back to homesteading when you think about, the self-sufficiency, and with all the issues that we have in today's time, what better way to enjoy your food, knowing that it's all organic, the dirt that it was in, who handled your food, and all that. But when you think about homesteading, it's like, I think Webster's Dictionary, if you'll just put that slide up, it shows us the definition for it. It'll be the next one. It says homestead means a house and the land it is upon, according to the dictionary. But the modern terms of homesteading means so much more now. homesteading means taking your land or even your backyard for us that live in town and turn it into a way to aid in your own sustainability and provide organic food for your family. Homesteading can be on any size scale, whether you have a quarter of an acre or less, or you have a 14-acre farm. The definition for me is my family coming together to provide and share responsibilities, and they could be big responsibilities and they could be small, but to create the sustainable and organic healthy lives. Let's see, it's not the same for everyone. Some of us may do it for the organic reasons, and others might be the self-sustainability, whether there's only one income in the family or two. Some may find the desire to stay home. So if you'll go next, Paul, to the next slide, we can discuss the 4 aspects of homesteading. There's gardening, which would be a way to provide your produce and your food. And then you have your livestock. It can be anywhere from small livestock to large livestock, just depending on your acreage. Even if you live in town, there's some rules for the HOAs and stuff that allows you to have a certain number of chickens by permit. And for meat aspects, you can also have rabbits, which a lot of people are not familiar with. And then the third one is taking that garden and that livestock and preserving it. And there's several different ways that we'll discuss here in a little bit of how to preserve your garden and your livestock. And by livestock, you might be using the meat, you may be using the eggs from the chicken. And also there's different products that you can use when preserving to make your own home soaps and antibiotics and stuff from your garden. And the fourth is income. To be a self-sustainability homestead, you need to be able to have your own income. That way you can be able to feed your animals. You'll be able to buy plant starts, seeds, and everything. So a self-sustainability homesteading, which some people are off-grid, but they still have to have income, that we will discuss in short on how to do some of that. All right. Next slide, I'll talk about gardening a little bit more. As you can see in the pictures here, I've posted several different ways that you can garden. You have your larger in-ground beds, which a lot of us are familiar with, but there's also the container gardens for us that live in apartments and have balconies or just a small patio. Anything that you can hold soil and has drainage, you can put that to use as a container to grow food. Gardening large or small requires time to plan out your garden space to reach that maximum potential. Take time and decide what you like to eat instead of just planting random stuff. And take time to decide what your family likes and stuff that you'll be eating more of. So that way you're not going to waste any of the things that you grow. And also find out your zone that you live in. We are all in around 7A, 7B here in Hot Springs. So find out which vegetables for which seasons, because right now you can still throw in some cool weather brassicas and stuff. And if you have a frost cover, on these frost mornings, just lay it over them. You can still be enjoying lettuce and radishes and rutabagas and stuff like that. Like I said, locate all your supplies that you'll need. You'll need seeds, tools to work in the dirt and to get your soil ready and amend it, containers, and just allow time to enjoy yourself while doing it. That's the most important thing. Most time, this is done in the winter and for your spring gardens, but also amidst the spring and gardens, you need to plan for your fall gardenings, because without the planning during your busy season of crops, you won't be ready for your cool season that I just discussed. And always experiment with a new veggie. You might not know if you like something or not. This year I tried rutabagas in the garden, and I actually kind of like smashed up rutabagas in replacement for mashed potatoes. So you're always surprised at different things. I'd never heard of Malabar spinach, and I've tried that, and it's got a different texture, but it's something to always think about. And let's see. And we'll go next to the livestock. Oh, this is our tools. I forgot my next. The tools you'll need in there, though, everybody, depending on the size of your garden that you need, you'll be using maybe a tiller that, I didn't have a picture of that, but have your seeds all organized. That way it's easier to find them, and you can plan out your garden by flipping through the seed catalog that you create, like the one I pictured. Some people store them in shoe boxes. You always want to store your seeds in a cool, dry place. That way it keeps them viable longer. Some people choose not to start stuff by seed. They go to their local garden centers, Lowe's, Walmart, big box stores. They all have vegetables to start, and they do have organic options now. They used to not, and even the farmer's market in the spring has garden starts that you can get to start your garden. And those can be placed in the containers like we were talking about earlier, just as well as the seeds. And if you flip on the back of the seed packets, it always tells you your germination rate and how long it takes from the time you plant it to the time you'll see produce. So always go about that when you are planting. That way you know your length of time between your last and your first frost. That way you'll have a potential to have a larger crop to be able to can your foods. Now we can go talk about the livestock. This is just several different livestock animals that you can have. Some people have mini pigs. Some people have larger pigs. Pigs in general are, if you want to be able to raise some of your own meat as well as the cattle, you may want to take your, to the butcher, or you could learn if you're doing self-sustainability, you'll learn on your own through a friend or somebody that has already butchered their own to be able to butcher your own meat and how to put it up and have enough to sustain you throughout the winter. Chickens are an easy livestock to have. They not only give you eggs, but you also can eat their meat, and also if you have an incubator or even let the chickens raise their own, that plays into the income part on being able to sell the chicks, sell the eggs and stuff like that. And we'll discuss that later on. But if you live on a large homestead, you may be able to have several animals, such as chickens, goats, cows, etc. Be sure that when you are placing those animals on that acreage, you are going by the ratio of how many animals per acres. That way it gives the animals enough room to graze and they're not crowded and eating out their own food supply. Then you would have to supplement food, which is going to in return cost you money. And if you're trying to live a self-sustainability life, costing you more money for something is not the rate that you want to go. Some people do grow have their gardens. They plant out a certain area. That way they can raise their grains to feed their animals, certain kinds of different greenery and stuff that they know that their animals would enjoy. They have that planned out. That way it's not costing them any extra. Also, if you all have larger land, you can swap the areas that your animals graze on every day or so, which allows for the fertilize from where they're eating, and on that land, swap it over to a new patch, and it gives that other patch a time to grow. So you're always flipping over and having readily available food for your livestock. And also, when you think about having your own homestead, for those that want to have livestock, always take in account for the time that you have. Some people may have a homestead and still work outside of the home. If they do, they won't have time to tend to animals as much as needed. So they have to take in effect how many animals that they have time to take care of in the morning before they go to work, and in the afternoon when they come home. So that's another key factor, not only the size of your land, but also your time. Those that live on a larger farm and they're home all the time, they are able to have larger amounts and produce more because they are hands-on self-sustainability. And that's usually people that live out in the country and they don't go to town as often and everything. But just because you don't live out in the country, you can still have your small animals and you can still provide to a certain extent for your family. And like I said, if you are a small homestead, you might only have chickens for your meat and eggs. And in some cases, the rabbits are an alternative for meats. And allow that area for, usually they say 2 chickens per person in the family. But if you know you're not going to be using those eggs as much, then only do 1 chicken per family. That will allow, there's no waste, and you can learn to preserve some of those eggs and how to keep them. Plan out how you will use your animals so that they are helping reduce the cost of living. So once again, goes into the factor of you don't want to have to buy more feed. You don't want to have to buy more fencing because you're fencing off stuff. Always plan ahead before you get your livestock. That way you don't run into unforeseen costs, because this is all about self-sustainability and living at your, at your means. So that to me is something that I see not has happened as much. We all think we can just go down and grab fast food. Living a homestead self-sustainability, you enjoy the meals because you put the time into growing it, planning it out, harvesting it, cooking it. And to me, it tastes better than stuff in the store. So till you've had that first bite of a homegrown tomato or slices of cucumber or something, it's like, yeah, that tastes different from the store. So, and also it goes the same with your livestock when you take them to butcher, and there's no chemicals for preserving the meat being used. There's no hands that you don't know where they've touched. So that goes back to being organic as well in your homestead. Next, we can go to talking about preserving. Here are some of the basic ones and some of the more advanced. We all know about canning. Our grandparents, our moms, aunts, uncles. There's somebody that has canned. You have seen them packing the mason jars, sealing them up. And water bath canning is very common for a lot of things. And there's some that follow certain guidelines and some that don't. We do like to follow this, go by your ball canning. It is the USDA guides on how to can, whether you're water bath canning in a big pot for so many minutes, or you have a pressure canner. The pressure canner helps seal in stuff at a higher pressure. And then freezing, a lot of people that aren't, it's not safe, well, I guess don't feel safe with the pressure canner. We all have those thoughts of it's going to explode. So you can always freeze your produce, corn and peas, everything. If you have freezer space, I freeze a lot. I have a couple freezers. I love putting stuff up. I always blanch everything before freezing. That way it still retains all the nutrients and stuff. And it's when it's thawing out, it's not mush. And the definition of preserving is just to maintain its original or the existing state and to make it last. Preserving food, it gets done in all these different ways. I talked about the water baths. We also have dehydration. And that's the one on the center, lower down, the little round thing with the different layers. For y'all that's never seen a dehydrator. And my kids love it when I dehydrate stuff. It opens up a whole world of stuff that you can dehydrate. Their favorite snack is when I make fruit leather by just pureeing the fruit, laying it out, and it makes your own fruit roll-ups is what they call. So long as the food that you dehydrate is sealed correctly, like in a jar with your tops, with oxygen absorbers for certain ones, there is some things that you cannot put an oxygen absorber in. So, but long as they're there, you got a dehydrated item that can last you, even if you use a vacuum sealer, 1 to 2 years. I always try stuff before eating it after you preserve it, because you never know if you have a crack or anything like that in the lid. Many people that can will tell you to take off the ring when you're after canning, when you place on the shelf, always date your jars. That way you can reference, and you're taking what you made last and bringing it to the front. That way you're rotating out. New stuff goes to the back, old stuff comes forward. Always rotate your food storage. That way you're always going to have a less chance of something staying on the shelf until it's no good. Also, in the preserving, it also means you can make your own soaps, lotions, cleaners, and even medicines from your herb garden. And the fats from the livestock and stuff can be boiled down to make the soaps and the cleaners. There's a wide variety of different things that you can use out of your garden and not waste, and take and maximize the benefits. So you could use stuff to preserve your own shampoo, your own bath soap. I mean, if you have goats, goat milk soap and lotion is my favorite. I am dairy free by a lactose intolerance and a couple other health reasons. I love dairy milk, but it does not love me. So goat milk, everybody's always goes, oh my gosh, it tastes different. No, it does not. Looks the same. It's a little bit whiter than cow's milk, but it tastes the same. To me, sometimes if you're not used to raw cow milk, the goat's milk it's a little bit thicker, like raw cow milk. So, but it's a great option. If preserving your foods also helps when you have other health conditions that can be like celiac for the gluten intolerance people. There is so many foods out there that are preserved with items that contain gluten. So when you're preserving them, you're giving yourself a little bit better chance of not being cross-contaminated with gluten, because you are the one that cut the food, packed it in the jars or the bags, and know what you put into there. See, preserving to me is it just tastes better to me. Anything homemade tastes better. And there's still the freeze dryer all the way to your right. That's the dream of mine, to have a freeze dryer. I know I think it's a man and a wife, or maybe just a man, but he's at the Garland County farmers market, and he has freeze dried items, and they are amazing. The freeze dried ice cream is amazing. You just have to go try it. It's not a conventional part of preserving that most families have. It's more on the larger scale that people that produce just pounds and pounds of tomatoes, potatoes, fruit. They can take that and place it in the freeze dryer. And a freeze dryer is kind of like a pressure canner and a freezer combined. It pressurizes the food and kind of takes the liquid out. But before it can liquefy, really, it evaporates. I haven't read too much into the whole process, but it's not mushy. And when you reconstitute it with water, it seems to be fairly the same as dehydration. But dehydrating, you'll still have a little leathery feel to your food. So those are different options to take and use your produce and your livestock to help reach your sustainability in your life. Now, next, we can talk about the income. And everybody knows you have to have income. You have utilities, unless you live off grid, but you still have your necessities that you have to buy. So they'll need income at some point. Your produce, whether you have that big, large garden or you have a small garden, you would be amazed at the amount of produce that you can roll out of your garden when it's just a few raised beds. Trust me, you have neighbors and everything that are like, I don't need no more. So take that extra produce that you have. You can give it to friends. You can sell it at the farmer's market. The farmer's market is a good way for homesteaders to make money, because it's taking everything that they produce on the homestead and offering it to the community. And that's not only is it helping bring income to them, but it's also delivering organic foods to the customers. That way they know that it came from a farm where somebody took the time to care for it. And you can also tell that people, when they have it packaged at the farmer's market, have it labeled, they take pride in their stuff. So selling at the farmer's market will help you out a lot with your produce, but also your livestock. Yeah, you look into the different guidelines from the USDA on how you would go about selling your meat and everything. But organic grass-fed meat is in high demand from so many people trying to be organic and trying to cut out the preservatives and all that. So you don't have as much fat content in a lot of your organic grass-fed livestock. So that is a great way that you can have income. You can, if you raise cattle on a large homestead, you could sell the cow. You can sell it as a whole cow, half cow, quarter of a cow. That one cow, after going to the butcher, the income off of it, you can use that to buy more cattle for the following season. That one cow can usually, after selling it and breaking it down, can usually buy you 2 to 3 more different cows. That way, not only are you selling and bringing income in, but you also are using money to purchase more livestock without having to have any additional costs. And again, homesteading, self-sustainability, we don't want extra costs. Preserving is another part of income. There's a lot of people that love homemade jams and different sauces and stuff. So once again, you can combine your preserving of your garden with the garden at the farmer's market. Or there's different little stores that allow you to set up different stuff. I know you have to label what's in, list that it is made in a home kitchen with the ingredients and all your information to be able to sell here in Arkansas. I discussed earlier about the chickens being a source of income. Not only are the eggs you can sell the baby chicks, you can sell the grown chickens for the people that don't have the time to deal with the chicks and raising them and getting to that point. The eggs, not only for consumption, but you can also sell the eggs to people that have incubators and do want to go about the process of hatching their chicks and going through raising them. If you have a certain breed of animals, I don't have it on here, but rabbits are not only for their meat. If you breed different pedigree rabbits, and pedigrees, I mean like full-blooded, for showing, people will buy for showing. You can also sell some of those for meat rabbits for other people that don't want to go through the hassle of growing or raising their own rabbits. You can use, what else can we use? I mean, if you sit and think about it, there's so many things. Your skills, some people may be good at woodwork. You can do different woodworking skills. You might offer out carpentry. Bartering is not a source of income, but it allows you to get the things you need. You may take those skills of carpentry or welding, or you might have a tractor where somebody else don't have a tractor, and barter for goods and services that you need. So that also plays into the role of the income. Homesteading, to us, we started this journey, like Judy said, to bring our kids back to just enjoying being outside. So there's so many kids that are in front of the game with games and cell phones and stuff that they're not familiar with everything. So we wanted to bring the basics back because I don't know, I can't remember exactly what, but we had asked our kids to do something and they were like, what is that? Me and my husband both being raised on farms, we were active in it. I know as a young kid, there was baling hay. You took the cows, you fed the cows, you done the goats, chickens. It was all there. And our kids didn't get to experience that because once we left home, we went and done something besides farming. And our family farms that we grew up on got out of the livestock and got out of all of that. So we wanted to bring back some of that on a smaller scale. We moved here, purchased land, and we are actually in the process of building our forever home ourselves. We save up for what money we have to build towards that. That way we're not going in debt. We want to be able to sustain ourselves if something was to happen. Right now in the world we're in, like last year, you couldn't find so much stuff on the shelves. The price of wood was ridiculous. So, I mean, there's so many different ways that you can cut down on your costs in case of emergencies like we had last year. And we wanted our kids to know, because we can't foresee into the future, to know if there's going to be other crises that we come about. We want them to be able to provide for themselves. We want them to know how to grow their gardens, how to take that food in those gardens and preserve it. That way they can make it through the winter when nothing's growing. You need shelter, you need to build a livestock, needs a shelter, or you need fencing. There's so many different things that lots of people don't understand, or some people don't even want to know. But to us, it's important, and we want our family to know about it. And I also would love to teach other people what we know, but more importantly, I would love to learn the skills from other people. That's where the bartering comes in. So I'd like to take what we know, share it with somebody else to help better their lives as they share their skills with us to help better our lives eventually. So homesteading to me is close to home, and I have always just enjoyed it. And what better time to embrace it and open it world back up and show other people that they don't have to rely on running to town every time they need something. There is always an alternative way to make something, to do without. And to me, it's just awesome for a community to be together and help each other. So when I was presented with this, it's kind of like, I don't know where to start, but I could go on and on about it. And I would love to break down each 4 of the aspects and go more into depth on the raised beds, on the in-ground. There's no till garden. If you have a spot and you don't have a tiller, you can build it up with mulch. There is a green stalk planter that's a self-water for a balcony. It allows you to grow food on your balconies and it has layers up that you're growing this food. And I think it's like 42 different compartments. That's 42 different vegetables or flowers or something you can grow there and be sustainable. I mean, even if you're just trying to be small and start out small, there is always going to be something that you can do to be self-sustainable. And that's why we said, it's in the modern world, because we're not on horse and buggies and miles away from town. But there might be that person that's at home and she likes to sew, or he likes to work in the garden and stuff. That's okay. You can still be a small-scale homestead that way, because you are cutting costs and helping out your family. So I guess that's all I can say on it. If anybody has any questions, I kind of wanted it to last a little longer, but I kind of get to rambling. But if anybody has any questions, or Judy or Paul, y'all want to say anything?
Jamie, I loved it. I'll tell you, I learned a lot, and I think that we all can do a little something, I've got some container beds that just around my home. I'm growing cabbage and broccoli, and I can't wait for that cabbage to start heading up. But, while it's still growing, I can still take those big leaves and wrap it around fish. And I know that came from my yard. And what you said really hit my heart when you talked about knowing where your food is coming from.
Yes.
And the hands that have touched it and how it's been handled. So we can't all have a homestead, but we can all do a little something, even herb gardening.
Yes.
We were talking, earlier when we were talking about the program about, kind of drying your own herbs and all that. A little bitty, teeny tiny jar of herbs is $6,
yes.
Organic.
I was gonna say, if you buy organic, it goes up higher. Yes.
Yeah. And so, for us to be able to, grow some dill and dry it and keep it use it all winter. How wonderful is that? And it's also great for the environment.
Yes.
I mean, you grow some dill and you've got all these swallowtail butterflies eating the dill, and you're like, get out my dill.
Right.
They'll eat it down and it'll come back, and then you've got something great going on. So I just think it's a movement that I know a lot of master gardeners are interested in, and I personally am interested in. I would like to grow as much as I possibly can. I've bought some land to actually have a big garden, and I need to do something other than just canning, because canning takes so much room.
It is. It's a process of doing it. And like you said, room, and it's the storage. You want to have it in a correct environment to store it. So that's, that brings in your dehydration and everything. So it allows you to put stuff in bags up on the shelf, in the vacuum sealer bags that you can seal with a foil with the oxygen. There's so many. It's not limited to just canning when you go to preserving. So I think if people don't have the room, there's always an alternative somewhere.
Exactly. Do we have any questions, Paul?
Well, let's check here.
Oh, wait, do we have a winner for the book?
Right.
Well,
If not, I'm typing Homesteading in right now.
Let's say, it's an amazing book. It talks about, let's see, there we are. It talks about the gardening. It talks about your herbs. It has recipes on how to use your herbs. It talks about the different kinds of livestock that you can have on your farm, the ways to use them. It even shows you how to make wine in here. So, I mean, that's a plus on there. Different kinds of growing your grains. I mean, it's just so much. Talks about your trees for people that want to grow fruit trees and nut trees and stuff. So it's a really good book. It talks about from an acre to you can grow from a quarter of an acre to an acre on here. It tells you how many animals you can have and how to take care of them. So for anybody just starting out that wants a little resource, I thought this would be the best way to start out.
Well, we'll raffle away that book here in just a minute. I see we have some entries, but I'm going to give a few more people an opportunity to enter. So if you want to enter for that, type in Homestead. And also, please ask some questions. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. I'm going to talk about a couple of things going on at the library while I'm waiting on some questions here. And first of all, and this might tie in pretty well for anyone that lives out in a rural area especially, but everyone, for the most part here in Garland County, is eligible for home delivery. There are still a couple of corners up in the far northwest on that side of Lake Ouachita where we're not delivering just yet, but anyone else in the county, we will deliver to your home, and our driver goes out 2 days a week. So if you live in the Village, Jessieville, Fountain Lake area, that's going to be on Tuesdays. And if you live in the city part or over to the west, Piney, Percy, Lake Hamilton area, that'll be on Wednesday. So pretty much anyone is eligible. If you already have a library card, you can just email that address you see there on the screen, delivery@gclibrary.com, and you can get signed up for that, and we will deliver it straight to your door, pick up your holds if you have something to deliver. So please take advantage of this service. And we are also running a holiday donation drive through the middle of December. So if you want to bring any of these items by the library, new winter clothes, personal hygiene products, non-perishable food items, and unopened toys, we are accepting these donations at the library, and we will drop those off at local nonprofits as we continue to get them. So we really appreciate that.
I want to bring something up, Paul. Y'all have a great ebook program. There's 2 ways to get it, Hoopla and the other one, which I use. Can't tell you what it is right now, but it's Libby. It is really wonderful to be able to take your iPad or your phone and get a book. It's so easy. All you need is your library card, and the titles are not limitless, but you have a great variety of books. And so I think that's a wonderful thing. And I'm very glad that you're doing the holiday drive. I hope everybody goes out there and gets something that they think that other people can need. I know that some of the big things are underwear and socks most especially. So let's go out and buy some socks and take them to the library and make somebody's a good Christmas.
Well said. We have a comment from Karen who says, absolutely wonderful. And Karen says, I designed a medicinal garden called the Healing Garden, which has come in handy in emergencies.
Yes. There is a lot of different herbs that you can use to treat in place of medicines. And there's books on it. That way you'll know how to take those herbs and either dry them or you take them in your little stoneware and emulse them and make it that way. So yes, herb gardens are definitely, not only do they pollinate for the butterflies and everything, but they're also good for us.
I bet there's a book on that at the library.
I bet there is, or several.
Give people a couple more minutes before we do that drawing. So please either type Homestead in the drawing or ask a question or both, and you'll be entered to win. We'll do a raffle here in just a moment. And question from Karen, can you preserve eggs? Also tell the kids not to name their livestock.
No, yes. You don't want them to get too.
That's true.
It's not only the kids though; it's us too. But yes, you can. It's called water glassing your eggs. It is where you take lime, and it's usually in a big glass container. You usually get like your pickle jars, your big gallon, and it's a lime. It's a food grade lime that you put in there with the water, and you take your eggs. You don't wash them, or when you wash them in water, don't use soap or anything to remove the debris and stuff. But you pack them down in there, and I mean, I've heard of people eating them 2 or 3 years later, and they said they taste just the same. The yolk's a little bit darker, but yeah, you can preserve them that way, or you can even freeze them. Take your ice trays and break your egg up into your ice trays and freeze them individually in some bags in your freezer and pop them out when you need them. So there's a couple different ways there. And you can dehydrate your eggs, whip them up, dehydrate them, and then you just add them to your liquid and everything when you get ready to bake.
I had a friend once that they bought a cow. They were going to butcher it, and they named it Filet. And then the son taught the cow how to sit like a dog, and they never had anything off that cow.
Okay.
So don't name the cow and don't teach the cow to sit. So
yes, I think we had a pig at home. We when I was growing up, we named it Pork Chop. I don't think it ever turned to pork chops, or if it did, I didn't know nothing about it when I got older. But
best to hide those things from the kids.
Yes.
Jamie, I've really, really enjoyed the program. Do we have any winners? Because like I said, I'm going to go get that book.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, let's do our random number generator here.
I love that. Paul's got all these.
Yeah.
And our winner over on the Facebook side of things is Angela.
All right. Congratulations, Angela. And there will be the book plus the 3 gift bags. So we've got 3 more winners.
Yes, so that would be Karen with an I, Sheila, and BWA Switch.
All right. All right. Those gift bags will be at the library tomorrow after 10.
Yes, and the book I'll deliver in the morning too, so it'll be there.
Yep, so Angela, you get the book, and the other 3, Karen, Sheila, BWA, you get the
Know to Grow It gift bag.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, I thank y'all for allowing me to do this. I've enjoyed it, and I hope we can run on a series and go more into depth into the certain areas of it.
That sounds good. And I want to wish everybody a really safe and happy Thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for and grateful for. And if we have the means, let's go ahead and pay it forward a little bit and help those people who need some help right now. So I've enjoyed being with y'all tonight. It's been a fun program, and look forward to seeing you in December.
Absolutely. And remind them of that date and program again.
All right. It is on Wednesday, December the 15th. It's with Jerry Butler, and we're going to call it Birdwatch 2.0 because it's the second Birdwatch program that we've done, although it's gone forever and ever. But I think that'll be a lot of fun, and Jerry's a wealth of knowledge on birding, so please join us for that.
Great. Thank you both. Thank you, Jamie, for
Thank
sharing
you.
all your experiences. And you're getting some great comments and thank yous here. So shout out to Karen, Angela, BWA, Tina, Jillian. They all thanked you and said they enjoyed the program.
All right. I enjoyed it. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. So again, thank you. And thank you, Judy, for getting this set up and always booking great speakers and topics. So just as a reminder, if you tuned in late, this program is recorded, so you can watch the broadcast, or if you saw the whole thing and enjoyed it, you can share it with your friends, both on Facebook and YouTube. So
yes, and let me just say one last thing about that. It's not just this program. The programs that Paul has put together and his team are just wonderful. There's a plethora of things that you can go and just enjoy. I enjoyed learning about the mural painter from Italy. It was just amazing. And it was 3:00 in the morning in Italy, and he's just talking away, just like we were there. So virtual learning and sharing really has a great place in our society. And I do hope that we get to where we can have the hybrid situation where we can be together and also share it later. But
Yes.
it's really just a wonderful time. So thank you, Paul, for always putting this together for us.
absolutely.
All right.
All right. Well, again, everyone take care and see you later. Have a happy Thanksgiving if I don't hear from you.
All right. You too.
Bye now.
Bye.